The longtime New York Times science writer, Nicholas Wade, has published a bombshell article on the website of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, which is chiefly concerned with exposing threats to the human species and the planet. Hi, I'm Tatiana Prophet with Back to Facts. Thanks for joining me. So on May 5th, 2021, Nicholas Wade published this article. He goes through how when we first heard about SARS-2, there were scientists who came out in several publications as well as media saying that this most definitely came from a wet market in Wuhan, China. Now, SARS-1 and MERS came from bats. It had an intermediary animal. It was a civet with SARS-1 and it was a camel with MERS. But no intermediary has been found to date. And it's been 18 months, as Nicholas Wade points out. He also points out that the idea that the virus escaped from a lab was never ruled out scientifically. The Lancet published a letter, and the author of the letter, or one of them, was the head of EcoHealth Alliance, which was the middleman based in New York City that transferred the grant from NIAID, Anthony Fauci's agency, to research being performed at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Here's where it started. Ralph Barrick, a known virologist who does gain-of-function research, he was working with a scientist from Wuhan in 2015 at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. They were taking a coronavirus from a horseshoe bat and trying to enhance it so that it could infect humans. Obviously, they were doing it for national security, right? To make sure that another epidemic, a really, really scary one, wouldn't happen. And then coincidentally, SARS-2 is created by accident in a wet market in the same city where the research ends up going to a few years later. Because, see, the U.S. government banned this type of research in 2015 or 16 because it's very risky. And there was a loophole, though. There was a loophole regarding national security, which is always a loophole. It's a loophole for sunshine laws also, for transparency in government. The grant was given to the middleman, EcoHealth Alliance, and they resumed research over there, except, as Nicholas Wade points out, they were using level 2 safety standards, even though that institute does have level 4 capability. So I can't stress to you what a professional and incredible article this was. And it's being talked about. It was talked about on The Hill, which is very much mainstream media. They've discussed it on their YouTube channel now 2 days in a row. Here's what my concern is. Former Governor of California, Jerry Brown, is the chairman of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. He went into that after he finished his term. And they have a huge climate wing, obviously, looking at possibilities for man-made extinction of our species and planet. He is also part of the U.S.-China Climate Alliance. And what really, really concerns me is that since Nicholas Wade's article was so scathing about China and their role in covering this up, that there's going to be pressure put on him by Jerry Brown, who's very connected to working with China. And there will be some kind of a retraction or a minimization or a muddying of the waters once again of the very obvious notion that perhaps the very thing they were working on in this Virology Institute was actually what happened. Because if it is, this has huge implications. And it does make me wonder, why was it that the most vocal scientists in the very beginning were debunking something that they couldn't actually debunk? It sounds a lot like the fact checks we've seen the last few years. Like, you can't prove a negative. You can't prove something doesn't exist until you thoroughly investigate it. So swipe up. You can read the article and please share it far and wide. And if you hear that it's been debunked, remember there are conflicts of interest. And remember that China funds a lot of things and so does the U.S. government. As well as remember that the paper trail in this article shows the link to the original grant given for this research in Wuhan. So remember, the United States and China are responsible for very risky research in the city where the virus originated. So keep calm and share complete facts. See you soon.